Hey, welcome back. Today we're looking at Christmas Carol, episode 6 of season 5. Debuting December 7th, 1997, Christmas Carol follows Scully as she receives a mysterious phone call which leads her to a little girl who may be the daughter of her dead sister. So as you can tell, this one is going to be very funny. The episode begins with some woman who is very pregnant. I have no idea who she is, but the Scully family seems very happy to see her, especially Bill. The family has all gotten together to enjoy the Christmas season, while the members that are still alive anyways. While everyone else is getting settled in, the phone rings, so Scully decides to answer it. I don't know about you, but if I'm at someone else's house, I generally don't answer their phone.
Yes, I'm sorry, who is this?
Dana, she needs your help. She needs you, Dana.
Well, that was weird. That sounded an awful lot like Melissa, but that can't be possible, can it? I mean, she's supposed to be dead. It's not like she would come back from beyond the grave to send her a message. Scully places a trace on the call, which leads her to a random house where she meets Detective John Kresge. The spooky thing about all of this is while Scully claims someone called her just 20 minutes prior, Detective Kresge claims the phone has been off the hook for the past 30 minutes.
You got a call from her? She must have dialed 1-800 The Great Beyond.
Alright buddy, could you leave this snarkiness to me? In classic Bill fashion, he's like, so what's going on? They're telling me you got a call from a dead woman? Scully then has to explain that she thought she did, just not this one. She thought Melissa called. Anyone else notice how when Mulder isn't with her, she's seeing or talking to dead relatives? I think this cop put the phone back on just to mock her. Scully seems oddly fascinated with the woman's little girl. Detective Kresge informs Scully this house did receive an incoming call during the time the phone was off the hook, but no outgoing, so her story is a little weird. The father of the little girl asks for a little privacy, and it's like Scully was just kicked out of some treehouse club. Back at Bill's house, Scully, who's a little weirded out, decides to place a call.
Hello. You'll have to speak up, I'm wearing a towel.
I don't think she wants to admit what she's experienced just yet. When she gets back to the table, she has to grab her napkin twice, because just once isn't enough.
This is our baby, our son. Kind of gives everything new meaning. I can't help but think that life before now was somehow less.
Sorry, Scully, you childless freak. I guess the life you've had until now has been nothing but a waste. I get that Bill's wife is very excited to have kids, but damn lady, read the room a bit.
Mom, I'm very happy for Bill and Tara.
I was really hoping she was gonna say Bill and Ted.
Excellent!
This is where things get a bit confusing for me. Scully reveals to her mother that she can't have children due to the test performed on her when she was abducted. But when was she actually told this information? I feel like I've missed something. We know Mulder found her ova in Memento Mori, but he never showed her or told her about it. I've even searched online and looked at previous episodes, and I don't think anyone has outright told her that she can't have children, yet she already seems to know. To make things even more confusing, the season 8 episode, Per Manum, has a flashback with Scully revealing to Mulder that her doctor told her she can't have children because of the testing that was done to her, and then Mulder revealing to Scully the reason she can't is because he found her ova in a government lab. To compound this confusion even more, in the very next episode, Emily, Scully learns about her stolen ova when Mulder is trying to fight for her right to adopt the little girl. To me, it feels like there's a scene missing somewhere between Memento Mori and Christmas Carol, which they tried fixing later in season 8, but only made things more confusing. Anyways, it doesn't matter. Scully can't have kids and she's very sad about it. That's the only real takeaway from this scene. When Scully heads to bed, she has a dream about a time her brother was threatening to kill a rabbit she was hiding. It's nice to see that Bill was always kind of a jerk. When little Scully looks for her rabbit, she finds it dead, covered in maggots, which makes my skin crawl. The little girl then shows up and Scully is awakened by a phone call. But who would call at 2:30 in the morning?
Scully,
She needs your help.
who is this?
Oh good, it's spooky ghost Melissa. Scully takes her dead sister's advice and returns back to the home she was at earlier in the morning, but it's almost 3 a.m. now. Scully then has to try to explain why she's there, but the husband seems to be in the middle of a meeting at 3 a.m. I don't blame him for telling her to leave, but these guys seem kinda sketchy. Does this little girl not sleep? Scully shows up at the police station because she wants to do a little more digging into this case. Though Detective Kresge is like, what case? This was a simple suicide. And maybe he's right. I mean, these cuts sure do look self-inflicted.
They ran a talk screen?
It's just procedure.
The episode started on December 21st, but does this talk screen look like it was performed in December? They found a drug in her system that would make her a little lightheaded, but I'm sure there's nothing suspicious about that. If you're gonna do the unthinkable, maybe you wanna be high as a kite.
I'd like to borrow this.
Oh no, what is she planning now? Alright, so Emily and Melissa look somewhat alike. Little kids can often look similar, I don't think it means anything. Regardless, Scully does some more digging and discovers Emily was adopted. Scully calls the bureau requesting all the information on her sister's case, and then takes a little nap. I think we've all had a dream about a funeral with a casket leaking water and blood. Bill wakes her up before the dream turns into pure nightmare fuel, and then he gets a little butthurt when she decides to continue working on the case, instead of spending time with the family. Scully returns to the police station, and do any of these people sleep? She believes the wife may have been murdered by the husband. The cuts on her wrists didn't show hesitation cuts, which is apparently something that happens when people take their own life.
Your incident report says that the husband called the police after he discovered his wife dead.
Yeah.
But if the phone was off the hook when you arrived, how did he call you?
She just made all the police look like complete morons. How the hell do you overlook that fact? Scully tells Kresge to order an autopsy, and seconds later, Scully is performing one. She doesn't find any of the medication that the woman apparently took, despite it showing up on her talk screen. So how could it possibly have been in her bloodstream?
A needle puncture.
On the heel of her right foot. Extremely tiny and easy to miss. It was meant to be overlooked.
If anyone would know about being injected in the foot, it's Scully. Scully's theory is she was drugged and her murder was set up to look like a suicide. With this new bit of info, a murder investigation is now opened up, and the husband does not look very happy. They find a syringe which the husband claims is for his daughter's anemia, but it makes for a convenient excuse as to why he'd have a syringe at the ready. Hey, it's those two guys again. They're definitely not acting suspicious. When Scully returns to her brother's house, she looks over the contents of her sister's file and notices something weird about her sister's DNA results and Emily's. It looks as if both sets of DNA match, which according to Scully means Emily is Melissa's daughter.
Melissa was 3 years old when this picture was taken. She was practically a baby. All kids can look the same at that age.
That's what I was saying earlier. Melissa was sort of a free spirit. She spent some time off doing her own thing, and Scully thinks she may have had Emily and put her up for adoption during a time where the family didn't hear from her much. That's a good guess, but from what we saw of Melissa, I would have a hard time believing that she would put her daughter up for adoption. Scully's mother thinks maybe she just wants this to be Melissa's daughter so much because she misses her. Another childhood flashback, and this one has teen Scully and Melissa checking out the Christmas gifts while everyone else is asleep. Their mother comes down and lets the girls open a couple gifts, which are gold cross necklaces. Didn't Dean in Supernatural also get a necklace as a gift on Christmas? Scully's dream is interrupted again, but it's important because Detective Kresge might have a lead in this murder investigation. A pharmaceutical company has been making large cash deposits with all the checks made out to the wife. So I guess it's time to check out this company. Lucky for them, the man they needed to speak to is just hanging out outside. He seems to be unaware of the wife's murder, but I think he's lying. Quick, shoot him, Scully.
Emily's suffering from a rare type of autoimmune hemolytic anemia. She's a very sick little girl.
Emily's been seeing the doctor for some time, undergoing clinical trials to help her with her anemia, and I'm sure absolutely nothing shady is going on. The doc has been compensating the family with the money because the wife didn't really want her daughter undergoing these trials in the first place. But as we all know, it's easy to sell out your kids when you can get paid. An interesting twist in the case comes when it turns out the injections that the husband claimed were for Emily were actually for him. So you're going to jail now, buddy. The father was arrested, and I feel so bad for Emily. Not because her father killed her mother, but because she has that 90s little girl haircut. I think my sister had that haircut. Emily takes a liking to Scully's necklace, so Scully gives it to her. I hate scenes like this because it's too cute for me to be snarky.
Every year, my husband insisted on putting the angel on top of the tree by himself.
Man's work.
Yes.
That's right, and if anyone knows anything about being a man, it's Bill. Bill brings Scully into the kitchen because he wants to know what's going on with her. She's there, but she's not there, if you catch my drift. In classic Bill fashion, he starts picking on her because she thinks the little girl's Melissa's and that Melissa contacted her from beyond the grave.
It's about you. It's about some emptiness, some void inside yourself that you're trying to fill.
First, his wife makes a comment about not truly living until you have kids, and now he's claiming this whole thing is because she's trying to make up for the fact that she doesn't have any. What the hell is wrong with this family? Detective Kresge calls up to tell Scully that he got a confession from the husband, despite the witnesses that claimed he was elsewhere during the time of the murder. Scully thinks it's weird that a man who is apparently not at the scene of the murder is now confessing to said murder, so she heads down to the jail to speak to him herself. Oh hey, look who it is. Wait, oh no, look who it is. Oh no, he's been Jeffrey Epsteined. But why did they take his pants off first? Scully returns to Bill's house and he has something she needs to see.
Look at the date on the back. Does Melissa look pregnant to you in that picture?
Now correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't the date on the back of the photo represent when it was printed and not when it was taken? If it was a digital photo, you could easily check to see when it was taken, but I don't think this proves anything, Bill. There's a woman at the door who's here about the adoption of Emily. Scully made the decision to adopt the little girl, but unfortunately it doesn't look like it'll happen. Susan gives her a bunch of BS about being a single woman with no lasting relationships, or the fact that she has a high-demand, stressful job, and Emily requires extra care considering her medical condition. But after everything Scully has been through with her cancer, she has a completely different outlook on things, and let's be honest, is there anyone better than Scully to take care of this sick little girl? As we all know, she is a medical doctor, and just how many times has she corrected other healthcare professionals or scientists? Susan leaves and says they'll review her final application and make their recommendation. So until that happens, Scully just has to sit and wait.
Dana,
Melissa?
didn't know anybody else was up.
Couldn't sleep.
Scully has another little nap, this time dreaming about her sister and herself prior to leaving for Quantico FBI training. I love when shows go back in time and just change the character's hair to make them look younger. The funniest one might be Dexter, when all they did was throw a wig on Michael C. Hall and it just looks ridiculous. The two sisters talk about Scully's father disapproving of her choice to join the FBI, and how choices in our life lead us down a path. Bill's wife wakes up a sleeping Scully and the family gets down to the Christmas festivities.
This one's from Charles. Okay, don't open anything. Don't open it.
It's nice their brother Charles sends gifts despite never actually visiting. A man from the FBI shows up at the door with a package that only she can sign for. It has the results of Melissa and Emily's DNA tests and will prove definitively whether or not Emily is Melissa's daughter.
It says definitively that Melissa is not Emily's mother. I am Emily's mother.
Well damn, that's quite the cliffhanger. I've gotta be honest, Christmas Carol and the next episode Emily have never been my favorites. It's not that I think they're bad, I just find them to be very depressing. Anytime I do a rewatch of the show, I'll often skip them because I don't really feel like being traumatized. This first part isn't so bad, but the next episode is where things take a turn for the worst. Like I mentioned earlier, the revelation that Scully can't have children is a bit confusing. I feel like there's a scene missing from a previous episode somewhere. There were hints that she couldn't have children, I guess, but it was very subdued, and the fact that they had to go back years later to fill in the gap only makes it more glaring that they forgot something. Like the previous episode, the postmodern Prometheus, which was very much inspired by the book Frankenstein, Christmas Carol was also inspired by the 1951 film Scrooge, which was adapted from the Charles Dickens classic A Christmas Carol. Since David was off promoting his movie Playing God, he wasn't going to be available, and because the episode was going to debut in December, they decided to write the episode in the same vein as A Christmas Carol, with Scully taking the place of Scrooge. The original concept was to have Scully visited by 3 ghosts, but as the writing went on, they hit a dead end. Instead, they turned the 3 ghosts into dreams, where Scully would be visited by family members and herself from the past. Fans of the 1951 film may have noticed that the adoptive family of Emily, the Sims, were named after Alastair Sim, who played Ebenezer Scrooge. Since David was off promoting his movie, Christmas Carol was actually shot prior to the postmodern Prometheus, making it one of the only times mythology-based episodes weren't shot one after the other. Also, the hat David wears in his brief appearance had apparently been knitted by his new wife, Téa Leoni. Something most people will never notice, but it looks like the props department used some props from an episode later in the season, because as Scully flips through the evidence in the Sims case, one of the papers she looks over says the name Modell on it. Robert Patrick Modell is from the Season 3 episode Pusher, but will appear a little later in Season 5's Kitsunogari. The paper also says he has excellent dental hygiene and personal grooming. He's also rather polite despite being arrogant. The filming for Christmas Carol went rather smoothly, with the only bump in the road being finding Christmas wrapping paper from the 1980s. The same can't be said about Emily though, but we'll get to that one soon enough. Christmas Carol currently sits at 7.7 on IMDb. I think this one is good, but a bit of a downer, so I'm probably gonna go with a 6 or a 7. Next up, however, things get even more depressing when Scully and Mulder do all they can to find a cure for the young girl in the episode Emily. So what do you think of Christmas Carol? Let me know down in the comments. Anyways, folks, that's all for today. I hope I see you in the next video, and stay spooky!
Sunday.
Who is this?
Dana, go to her.
A mysterious tip
I received a phone call from this address.
She's been dead at least 3 hours.
leads Scully to a startling discovery.
I know it's not possible, Bill, but it sounded just like her.
Who?
Our sister, Melissa.
An all-new X-Files, Sunday at 9, 8 Central on Fox.